I'm filming in my home instead of my dorm room because I have a roommate this year and I don't want to do that. I don't know. It's weird to have somebody in the room with me while I'm recording, but I forgot how thin my walls are and how echoey my house is because I can hear my voice echoing in the hallway and I'm not talking loud. I'm like just above a whisper, which is, I'm gonna have to suck it up. Anyway, good morning. Hi, it's Nyx, and today I am recording the third devlog for my zombie survival game, aka ZSG. I've already gone over the general concept of the game. I feel like I'm gonna have continuity. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, they're kind of quiet now, so we're clear on that. Today we're going to be talking about the semi-failure that is version 0.03. Yay! So this version was originally considered the environment update, which would bring a prototypical, like... Are they playing music? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Can you stop revving your engine? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Go away. So this version was originally considered the environment update, which would bring a prototypical like town environment, a day-night cycle, and then full-fledged vision and hearing for the zombies. So they'd be able to like detect when the player was near them and then like chase the player, like, you know, things like that. I wanted to incorporate stealth into the game and like play around with that. Now it is the autonomy update. Yeah. So when I originally outlined this version, I was planning to implement like behavioral AI for the played characters and for the zombies, and then build that around the town that I was going to add. There are plans for, get this, doors. Zombies were going to be able to hear and see survivors and like chase them through low poly suburbia, which sounds so great, you know? Human characters would also be able to like hear and see zombies. And well, like run, like flee. There was no fighting yet, but they would still be able to like recognize when zombies were nearby and react to that. I even planned for like a little announcement tab in the corner that would warn the player if their character's needs got like below a certain point, and also warned them like if they were in danger, or like if they were actively being pursued or harmed by a zombie. Plus I completely reworked how the inventory and item systems work in this version. Oh, and time. I did plan on adding in like the passage of time. Going based on my outline, this should have been a monumental update to the game, specifically because of the AI, but it just wasn't. Am I upset? Absolutely. Yeah. Also, keep in mind, at the end of the last devlog, I said that this one would likely be out by March. I was outlining this back in April, okay? I'm gonna paint a picture for you. I was outlining this back in April. My script says that it is currently July. It is not July. I am filming this at 3 a.m. on November 1st. That hurts me. I don't like that. I finished this version, or like gave up in July, and it's been 7 months of just working on this, and I barely have anything to show for it, which is totally not a bummer. I'm kind of detecting a pattern here, unfortunately. Devlog 1 documented a successful build, relatively, and a failed build. Devlog 2 had its challenges, definitely, but then in the end I got through it. And then now we have another failure. I don't know what's going on. Like, we'll see. Well, hopefully it's not a trend. Hopefully this is just, we're working out the kinks at the start, you know? We'll see. We'll check back in like a year. Maybe I'll be doing great by that point. So the implementation, that is what took the bulk of like the first 3 months where I was like really going at this. I actually started off pretty good, surprisingly. I spent a long time on Unity Learn and like using other resources on the internet, taking courses on AI in games and, you know, looking at tutorials and things like that, and trying to figure out different ways to implement this, because I really wanted to start off with a bang with this version, because again, it was supposed to be a very big addition to ZSG. While I did that, I worked on re-implementing like the really messy inventory system of the previous version. I don't actually remember what I did at this step, if I'm being honest. mostly because I went through and did it over again entirely at some point because I still hated it, which honestly goes for everything in this version. I completely rewrote almost every script because I was looking at them months later, completely lost on why I had structured them the way that I did. I love how I just went off script in that last thing, and I literally just said everything that was in my script but worse. I forgot that I said any of that in my script. I thought that I was like adding in extra information that past me didn't think to write down. No, I said it, and I said it more eloquently. I'm gonna read it because I think that's better, personally. I think I spoke about this a little bit in the previous devlog, but I have no idea why I did things like that. Like, I could only describe the architecture of this game as like an extremely inefficient spider web. Just about everything was intertwined in the worst way. If I changed something like a variable name in a script that handles everything that happens in the main menu, for example, the entire save system would come crashing down and would send me about 1,000,000 errors because it was previously accessing that variable. Which happens, but usually, like I'd poke around and realize that there's no reason for it to even need to access that variable in the first place. It was a lot of stuff like that. Moving the character inventory information into the same place that all of the characters' information is, instead of having a separate script just to store that. Just a crap ton of untangling wires that my past self intentionally braided together for some reason. Once I got to the actual implementation of the new systems, though, things got a touch hairy. Getting the zombies to be able to detect the players with their vision wasn't difficult, like, at all. I followed a tutorial. It was pretty straightforward, but the actually getting them to change their behavior based on it was fun. It's been so long since I was working on that, and my notes don't make sense. They are completely incoherent, so I have no idea what the problem was. I just remember it wasn't working. I was using coroutines, which I'm still not super familiar on, and I'm gonna have to learn more about that. But essentially I got it working. Basically what they're supposed to do is wander aimlessly while there's nothing in their view, and then, they stop and they look around for a few seconds, and then they wander for a couple more seconds in a random direction, and then, they continue on that loop for eternity unless they spot a character. If a character is like within a certain range of them, they will change their behavior to chase, and they will start to chase the player. And if they get even closer to the player, they will start to attack the player. I was having an issue with I forgot to set a timer as like a cooldown, and I was having a problem with them. Well, I already had this problem. I knew this was a problem, and I just forgot to do the thing that I knew would fix it, which was add a timer. So they were just like infinitely every single frame hitting the player, and it was making my game crash. Not my game, it was making Unity crash. I'm really smart, and I have like a lot of foresight, in case you couldn't tell. I keep going off script and then looking at my script and going, oh, that's exactly what I just said, but so much better. I need to just start reading the script instead of talking. Thankfully, I got it to work. I feel quite good about it, not gonna lie. I did a similar thing for the characters who wander when they aren't actively being chased and flee when they are. That also was okay. I'm still working out the kinks on that, which is unsurprising. This build was meant to be a test for the future AI in the game. It was practice, not perfect. The announcements are great. I almost wasn't going to add them, but a little bit into the implementation, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have had a lot less to show for all of the time I've spent on this. Around the same times, I started working on procedural assets for the town and code for the gravity system. I don't think I mentioned the gravity system earlier, but both of these were meant to be the big stars of the build minus the autonomy system. I actually did pretty decently, I think, on the former. I still have all the pieces, and I might use them for something in the future. I am playing around with procedural buildings. I'm not sure yet. It was just too much in the way that I was using them, because when I actually started using the pieces to build, I was individually placing them to create a full thing, and I realized that was not sustainable. I don't know why I thought it was to begin with. I don't know why I expected it to be, but if I did this, I would have basically spent another month just plotting out the rest of the town, which was only supposed to be a placeholder at this stage. So I'm not, Anyway, so my goal for how these two systems would interact with each other would be having architecture, having buildings permits me to make very, very tall buildings. Having gravity permits me to have the player fall off of very, very tall buildings and die. I know, wow. Basically, I was gonna add fall damage. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it in previous devlogs, but my goal is to add a new or at least greatly improved cause of death with every single build of ZSG, and that was what it was going to be for version 0.03. Was it? No, absolutely not. The new cause of death, I'm considering improved zombie attack. I tried and tried and tried with the gravity system, but it just wasn't working. I even tried like right at the end again because, you know, I really wanted to be able to say that something came of this, you know? I felt really bad because of everything that I had to scrap. So I was like, this is the thing. This is such an easy thing. I've put gravity in games before. I literally have. It's not public anymore, but there was a video that I posted like years ago, when I was like really, really new with programming, where I successfully implemented gravity. I really tried, but no matter how I wrote the code, the player would always fall forever, like through the ground. If I spawned them 100 meters in the air at start, they would immediately teleport below ground level and keep falling forever. No, I did not accidentally mix up more than and less than in the logic. I checked several times. I even switched it back and forth. I rewrote the code in drastically different ways several times. Every single time, the player would just fall. It might behave slightly differently, like it wouldn't always teleport below the world, but it would always just fall no matter what. It would fall through the ground no matter what. I know I'll figure it out at some point in the future, but right now I'm not gonna deal with it. Instead, I scrapped the town system and the gravity system. We're gonna go back to that in a minute, like at some point, just not today and not with this build. The game's not ready. Not this time, okay? We have bigger fish to fry. We have things that are more important at this stage of ZSG's development, which I did not realize at the time, but do now. What I did revisit this time was the item microsystem from the previous version. I initially planned on adding... Bless you! Anyways, I initially planned on adding simple placeholder 3D models to represent each of the objects, the bag of chips, water bottle, and pill bottle. Pills. I didn't take my pills today. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Who knows? I'm not sure why I didn't follow through with that plan in the previous version, but I did this time. They're in the game now. They're not pretty, but I don't think they need to be, really. They're placeholders. They're probably not going to be here in like 4 more versions if I can follow my roadmap properly, which I haven't had a very good job doing so far. Again, we will see. The future will reveal that for us. I don't know. I'm tired. It's 3 in the morning. I'm going off script. By the way, I did successfully add a day-night cycle. It takes 24 minutes to go through. 1 minute equals 1 hour. It's really simple, not that exciting, but it works, and that is way more than I can say for some of the other systems in ZSG right now, so I'll mention it, you know? Anything that I can say I managed to get done. So that was rough. I don't have many other words for it. It was frustrating. It made me want to cry a little, but I didn't. And it taught me a few new tricks. So that's a positive, I would say. I do wish I'd gotten more done and that what is done were more polished, but this is a very early game made by an amateur. It's unfair of me to expect top quality things from myself, especially right now. I keep reminding myself that I'm only one person and I've only been working on ZSG as it is for 11 months at this point. In my script, it does say 6, but we are aware, we know why it has not been 6 months. It has been 11 months. Regardless of that, that means I can breathe. It's okay. This does give me a bit more empathy for, like, you know, those developers of games. We know which ones I'm talking about, I hope. Although I think there's several. where they just break the game more and more with every new release, every new DLC, every update. I feel like them, although they are trained, educated professionals, so maybe not. No hate to them though. The specific ones I'm thinking of, it's their company's fault. I'm aware of this. I don't have a company to blame though. Just the brain. Just that. Either way, concluding that version, ZSG now has physical items, autonomous character movement. Zombies are aggressive now. There are little warnings for the player, like in the announcement tab. Time passes and the sun moves, and actually I think that's everything that successfully was implemented. Which hurts just a little bit, but at least I didn't get to this section and say nothing works, right? Little victories. I feel bad about the way this version turned out. I'm not gonna lie, like, this doesn't feel good, but I am trying to look on the brighter side. Now, you would think that this was the end of Devlog 3. However, the fact that there's so much time remaining on the video proves you wrong. You would expect me to just take the L, move on to greater things, but nope. It's not what I did. Instead, I decided, no, I won't be posting a video about failing and then disappear for the next 3 months while I fix my mistakes. And I decided to attempt to speedrun Insanity. That is why this video took me 7 months rather than 3, like my script keeps saying. I got an idea to make smaller pocket-sized builds that would bridge the gap between the failure that was version 0.03 and version 0.04, which requires the previous version's additions to be functional. The plan was to start with version 0.031, which was the motivation build. This was going to be a quick personality update that would allow characters in ZSG to be more unique and would eventually support their autonomy. Then the next was version 0.032, which was completely focused on the environments of ZSG. And then version 0.033, which would tie these both together by actually giving characters the ability to traverse these environments and autonomously make decisions based on the personalities that were given in the first Pocket version. Theoretically, this was a good idea to me. I got to work on this outline expecting the first version to be done in a flash, but it wasn't. I, for some reason, wasn't getting the same burst of excitement and energy that I get when I start these outlines. I was getting stuck a lot with very simple, straightforward parts of it, and I started to heavily doubt the entire concept of this version. I forced myself to speed through this stage since I have motivation issues already because I have ADHD. And sometimes I hit similar walls for no reason at all, so I figured it was like that, and I just needed to keep going, Then I had a lot of time to think about this while I was working on literally anything else that I could do other than work on ZSG, because I just really was not feeling it. I was starting to examine the direction that I was heading in with ZSG's development. I was looking at my roadmap, specifically the most recent mini build plans, and I realized that I'm not going about this the correct way. It also helped that I had just started, halfway through this, a computer science course because I'm in college, I'm minoring in computer science, and a lot of the practices that we were taught in setting things up, setting up projects, pursuing things by the professor, I started realizing that those are great ideas, that I should structure what I'm doing around that. And I'm very much not doing that right now. And I think that's why I keep getting stuck. I've been working on ZSG for years now, and this particular iteration of it has been in the works for 11 months as of this video's release. And I'm still in the same boat that I've been in this entire time. I have nothing to show for it. Nearly no progress is being made with each build because the wrong things are being focused on entirely. Just looking at my roadmap now, I'm confused as to why it's structured the way it is. I think I need time to reevaluate everything about the process. Again, I want to put more focus on getting the foundational parts of the game in place first, which I thought I was doing this entire time, actually. But yeah, this was incredibly disappointing, but I guess that was needed, My plan was to learn and grow with this project, and I definitely am. That just doesn't always feel great. Alright, so that pretty much sums up the third and most recent build of ZSG. Thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I unfortunately cannot say that I did this time. My script initially said otherwise, but my thoughts have changed a lot in the past 4 months of this process. If you liked this, I highly suggest that you subscribe and follow along with the development of ZSG. Hopefully the following devlogs from this point will be less negative. Only time will tell. I do have high hopes for version 0.04. I have completely reworked my roadmap, and I think it's more coherent now. I think it makes a lot more sense why I'm going in the direction that I am. Hopefully I can maintain that, and hopefully I'm correct in believing that. I did just finish outlining the next version last week, and I have slowly started working on it. We'll see how it goes. By the way, if you're interested in visual art, art school vlogs, or media commentary, you should totally check out my other channel, Nixby Art, which is all of that stuff. It's a lot similar to this channel, except I do all of that stuff and not as much game dev stuff. I will be doing things related to my games, like ZSG and some other projects that I may or may not post about, who knows, but more the art side of that. Mainly the things that will connect to this will be like behind the scenes kind of things. Like if I were to design a character creation, character customization scene, on this side I would plot out everything that I did leading into that. Basically like this. Whereas on my art channel I would show me making the art and the thought process behind all of that. My other socials are on the screen and in my link tree, which is in the description below. And with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time it is for you. Bye-bye. I am so tired. I am exhausted.